Hello and welcome. I wanted to talk about the Labour Party conference and what people said during it, before it and after it. Just some snippets, because I believe this is an example of what I'm going to call Pavlovian politics. Pavlovian in two ways. One, the Labour Party, well, a couple of people at least, were employing dog whistle tactics, the very thing that they criticise other people about. And two, we're seeing Keir Starmer learning, kind of, as he goes along, how to lead, sort of, in a Pavlovian way. Oh, over this way is a reward, over that way is pain. I get a treat if I go that way, I get a mild electric shock if I go there. I get applause if I go that way, I get plummeting opinion polls if I go this way. His lack of a core ideology and value system and belief set is on full display. This is someone who is doing what he's doing to stay in power, to remain in power, to increase his power if at all possible. It's very hard to say what this guy actually believes in, to believe what he says he believes. So he's doing, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of what you're seeing because he's been forced into it, because if he doesn't, someone else is going to take his place in Labour, and they may do anyway. So to begin then, let's go here. Miraculously, flags are now approved.
That's National Renewal Conference. That's why we made the tough decisions. And I make no apologies if they tilt towards working people, because it's working people who paid the price of Tory decline.
So again, you know, of course, it's the Tories. All right, but this phrase, "I make no apologies if they tilt towards working people." Why would you apologise about that? Because they're tough? But if they're tough and you've explained them and they will benefit working people, then all will be well. Very strange language. I make no apologies. I'll take no lectures from you. Try and talk a bit more normally, Labour people. But anyway, let's go here to this interesting snippet.
You said that proposal is immoral, to deport people who are already here if they don't pass more.
Now, I should say, this is before the conference. Just before it.
Stringent rules. Do you think it's a racist policy?
Well,
what is he going to say? What do you think? Have you noticed any headlines?
well I do think that it's a racist policy.
But he's going to qualify that, of course, and say, but that means the mechanics of it and how it could be implemented and how it could go wrong, and we need to know more detail. And of course, that doesn't mean to say that anyone who supports reform or Farage is racist. He's going to say that, right? Because he's a lawyer. He would know, wouldn't he?
I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
Oh, he didn't. Anyway, as it suggests there, that statement was very well received, and let's see how one of his colleagues handled a couple of questions. Rachel.
How can you support a racist policy and not be racist?
People support the Reform Party for all sorts of reasons.
This policy, Chancellor, these policies as regards deportations. If you support a racist policy, I cannot see if you support a racist policy how you're not racist yourself.
To be fair to Rachel, that was difficult. How could she answer that? She was put right in the spot. Again, Keir either shouldn't have said it or should have qualified that statement. So well done. Now, talking about Rachel, let's go here to the conference.
So conference. Don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government.
The lady's not for turning.
What's the matter, Pop? I'm confused.
He said, and I quote, "Farage doesn't even like Britain. He wants to turn us into a country of victims and division." Now, with respect, this is a man whose councils banned the flag. This is a man who gave away the Chagos Islands and 16 billion quid, which means Mauritians peeps for the next 12 months won't be paying any income tax while yours probably goes up again.
In case you're wondering, this is after the conference, and again, Keir doubled down on his language and his attacks on Nigel Farage, and hence Dr. David Bull, who's, you can see there, the chairman of Reform UK, and Jeremy Kyle are a little bit apoplectic.
That, for me, was an astonishing thing to say. He isn't proud of being Britain. Surely what Reform would base itself on, you know, you're the chairman, is actually that people have come to Reform because they're fed up of our country being treated as it's been treated.
Well, exactly. And so the flags and the glitz and the glamour and the hyperbole of the speeches, including Keir Starmer's speech at that conference, that's not been what people have experienced at all. So whilst they're trying to put some glitter and sugar and tinsel on things, to then, there's different ways to criticise your political opponent, but to use that particular route for attack was highly, let's say, foolish, in my opinion.
100%. And of course, he's destroying small businesses, isn't he? The employer's national insurance from 13.8% up to 15%. He's destroying family farms as well. Of course, many farmers around the country in absolute horror about what is going on. Don't forget, he gave away our fish as well. I was an MEP in the European Parliament. And of course, the whole point of Brexit was to take back control of our money, laws, borders, and, by the way, fish. And Keir Starmer doesn't care about that and gave the fish away for the next 12 years.
Yeah. You see, so what it did is it was an open goal then for Reform to talk about what Keir hasn't done and how he's behaved. So really kind of foolish.
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger. That is for the public.
Now, so there we have the part of the dog whistle. You know, we've got Keir changing and flexing. So flag's bad, flag's good, everything's patriotic. Wow, talking everything up. You know, he didn't do that before, but he's doing it now. So that's my example of his sort of Pavlovian flip-flopping. But here's the dog whistle, or there was the dog whistle. It's so dangerous. Really, that guy should be given an absolute bollocking by more than one person for that, because it is dumb on so many levels, particularly right now, particularly these days. And can you imagine if somebody had said that about a member of the Labour Party? They would be howling and screaming at the moon. But anyway, what happened? Well, the response, of course, was Nigel Farage. We're going to listen to a snippet, and they effectively gave Reform an open goal, because well, he can respond to those things in a way that Keir Starmer can't, because he's a better public speaker.
Is that the government are incapable of beating us on our arguments, and as a result, the Prime Minister has decided to descend into the gutter, and all of his cabinet with him. Let us be clear. Reform want illegal migrants deported from our country, and as I speak, a further 400 have crossed the English Channel today. Reform want the benefit system to be for UK citizens, for British citizens only, not for foreign-born nationals. Reform want foreign criminals removed from our country ASAP. Labour says these policies are racist and immoral, and by implication, Reform supporters, Reform voters, Reform sympathisers are racist too. Yes, if you think we should control our borders, you are, by the definition of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, all racists.
Nigel Farage have flirted with Hitler Youth. Now, the party have said that's totally untrue, that that's libelous, contemptuous. What did you mean by that?
I think there were some articles circling around from the teacher, but I wasn't at school with Nigel Farage. I don't know what songs he sang at school. So I'm happy.
You have no evidence for that suggestion.
I'm happy to clarify. I did say it's for the public to make up their mind, and I did also emphasise that let us play the ball, not the man. So it's not my intention to play the man, Nigel Farage. In fact, I did a show with Nigel Farage on LBC a few years ago.
Who is this guy? I mean, who is he? I did a show a few years ago. Oh well, then it's okay. Then of course you can talk about Hitler Youth and imply that he was flirting with that, and that is playing the man. That is an ad hominem attack, David Lammy. What are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? So you didn't play the ball at all, and you know, and people around you know, that when those things go out there, unless they're nullified and crushed pretty quickly, then they tend to stick. It swirls around. That is nasty and it is disgusting. You've got to be better than this. If you are the people in power, in charge, you've got to be better than this. Farage does as well, by the way. Of course he does. Of course he does. Again, we've got to make sure that it's not a race to the bottom. But right now you're in charge. And you've got to ask yourself then, what is David Lammy's role in that government, the person who said all that? Is he someone who's, behind the scenes? Because that's bad enough. Oh no, he's not.
You yourself said on Friday that the left got it wrong on illegal immigration. When did you realise you'd got it wrong?
Well, I thought for some time that the left got it wrong because...
Well, when did you realise that?
I mean, soon after I was a politician, I went to Oldham and met a number of people there who wanted to tell me what their concerns were.
So what, more than 10 years ago you thought illegal immigration
that we've
was gone
got this wrong.
Have a think about that. She says, when did you know things were wrong? Years ago, I went to Oldham. Oh, that explains it. All right, Keir, thanks very much. Moving on. Why take until now? Because if your sort of burning agenda was to do what he's now saying that he wants to do with the country, the flags, the whole idea of really being patriotic, if that was in your DNA, then that would have set you alight years ago. But it didn't, hasn't. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Here. Anyway, so we want to look behind the scenes. What's going on?
This is not some media confection.
No, not at all.
This comes from his own MPs, in some cases his own ministers, in fact, in a few cases, his own cabinet ministers. They are privately and semi-privately in conversations with people like me and Laura, entertaining the possibility of ditching Keir Starmer as leader perhaps within months.